So I forgot to put on a part. You'll notice from the other things, it's right down the angle right here. The entire video I didn't catch it until just now. So those parts that were extra are not actually extra. They're supposed to go on the angle right there. So yeah. One, just because of the novelty of the clear glowing foot, as opposed to like doing the reverse of the God Gundam where the hands are down by the feet. I think this is a really cool change of concept in there, and I like the my god, can I not pronounce these? The beam Tonfa. Okay, well, either way, point is I think this one's pretty cool, so I'm gonna do the kick and just get that get this one built up next. So for now, let's go ahead and take it off the bench. Let's get this unboxed and see what's inside, just so you can see a quick look before I build it. Alright, manual. I'm not going to show that to you again because you'll see it when you get it. Nothing really fancy in there. They're just showing you the same stuff that's on the outside of the box. Let's see. Start with... Let's get this zoomed out a little further. Pretty good. Cool. Alright, so standard stickers. Very few. Looks like you're just filling in some of the dark spots. Got your eyes, a few metallics. A few spots. Looks like if it's all black, I mean, if you might as well use panel liner for those parts, but we'll see where those show up in the actual video. I'm not going to show you PC parts or the beam sabers because it's just two lengths. Let's get into some of this stuff. Okay. Alright. Let's get into it. So what are we at? We're at a C. So this looks like... We got 2010, so this is definitely going back to just... This is just God Gundam, the HD. Yeah, this is going back quite a bit. You can just tell that on the plastic. Don't think it'll affect things too much. I think we're probably just going to be taking some of the waist components, it looks like. Because I know we don't have the backpack going there, but we'll see what we get out of that. So that's C. Now let's move. Let's see if we can find... Oh, let's find some of the new ones. Let's go right to that for the exciting... Alright, so here's, this is going to be F, so this is going to be for the new one. So we got our glowing foot there, we got the new, the feet versions of the God Gundam hands, and then the new feet injections there, and the new backpack. So, let's go in close. Yeah, so you only get the one foot. If that is disappointing to you, it is also disappointing to me. I thought that'd be great if we had two, so we could choose left or right, but... well, I guess you still choose left or right with this. It's just you only get the one foot, so no two glowing feet at the same time. But you do definitely get two of these. These look like they're gonna be a lot of fun to change around a little bit. I mean, you could have like a head going through there. Well, we'll see what you guys come up with. Then we got a lot of back parts. The new face. New face cover there, which it looks a lot like, I mean, it looks like the Alex armor when it goes over, but it's a nice little face guard. Then you got your extra parts. So this is all the new stuff there. You got the Tonfas, the new feet, interesting backpack design. So we'll see where that gets us when we build it. But there's the new runners. Let me go back. We're going back to 2010 again. So yeah, here's a big full runner of all the God Gundam stuff from 2010 from the standard release high grade. I don't know how much we're using out here, but you're definitely going to get... Looks like they decided to not go clear with the hands for us here, or like the orange injection. They just left that one out gray. So You got yourself a nice set of, grabby hands for left and right. May not end up using them for this. Look, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on here. It's probably just for the joints inside the legs. But I'm not going to see a lot of stuff we're using here. We'll find out. And then the rest of them are just, everything else is just God, standard release God Gundam. So you can have a lot of backpack stuff left over. Maybe you could even build your own. We'll find out. There's a lot of leg stuff you're not going to use. So this one so far seems is going to have the most leftover parts. If you're into having if you're into the God Gundam design, but we'll see how many are left over at the end of the video, just like the last one. But I think this one seems to have the most leftover parts. These look like they're... Here we go. Here's some more new ones. All right. So let's get in there up close. So we got our new leg armors, new shoulders, and probably the new backpack components, new waist, and then a new head. So you definitely have full spare God Gundam head from the originals, and then you've got the new head here. So that's good to know if you are into having a lot of head options. This one's nice. It's got a nice flat mouth there. Don't see that often. And this is just the second runner is just the extra piece of shoulders, the duplicates, the new leg. So that's all the new. So there's only... These are your... So here's the new for the blazing... What are we calling it? Blazing Gundam. So this is everything that's new. So about 3 runners, about normal. And then you have everything left over is basically almost an entire God Gundam high grade on its own, which is not surprising, seeing as we're only really changing the head and the back. So the head, backpack, and one of the feet. But this one looks like it could be a little bit fun, so I'm going to get going on that since you've seen all the pieces. Again, I'm not going to show too many of them because this is just go watch a review for God Gundam. These are the only pieces that are new. Let's see what it looks like together. Hoping this one will pose really well, because I did like building the high grade God Gundam before. It had some nice poses to it for a high grade, so hopefully it'll be the same. Let's go. Alright, we're going to see how this works out. I'm adjusting the volume a little bit. Here we have the God Gundam just snapped and built together. I'm going to do some other shots just like the last one, in poses, and talk about that. But I just want to show you what it looks like coming out and how stable it is. So here, let's give it a little bit of shake. That's pretty stable, if I don't say so myself. The waist is just a little ball joint in there like the other ones, but it's got a little bit of a give to it, but you're not going to get a lot of forward crunch to get that kind of the crotch forward, the standard pose, but you're going to get something out of it. So I think the coolest thing just right away change is when I said originally when I was unboxing, I thought this was for the backpack. So what they've done is they still kept the profile of kind of the God Gundam backpack, and then you have your tonfas attaching here. But what they did is they took the wings that were for the back and they just shrunk them down to make these little guys right here. So those usually would have been, let me bring so the God Gundam, the back wings, instead of on the backpack, they've moved them down onto the hands, which is, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty neat little like change the design. It's like a nod to, I think this is the one that is the most it still very much uses all the runners for God Gundam, but it has that little, it's still a God Gundam design, but it's changed enough that it's unique on its own. So that was just something. The first thing I wanted to show you was the arm bits that are similar to God Gundam, and why it's why these are there. So they open up and close. They're a little bit catchy, so just try to be careful with them. Arms are pretty stiff in the right ways. Not a lot of looseness, just the waist. You're not going to get a lot of crunch on. Head's kind of cool with that red face mask that goes over. Quite a heavy seam in the middle there between the two colors. If you're not a fan of that, you're going to have to paint them and patch it. But it does come, if you take this front part off, you could put the other God Gundam face over that to make it just all white and not use this. So you have two face options. You can use this one and the way it is, or you take it off and just use the regular God Gundam. Alright, and there's the first example of another problem I'm having. The tonfas want to come off pretty easily because they're only held in just by that one little peg. So you're going to knock these off quite a bit, but not a huge deal to get them back on, but they will be very loose. Then another one, I got the beam sabers I want to keep coming out. A lot of stuff. Okay, so I think if there's any, let's talk about the feet. I'm gonna do better poses on these just after this, but I just want to talk about there. So what they did is they took the hand concept of God Gundam hand, and they turned it down into the foot, because this one's glowing foot. Instead of the glowing hand. And then the big changes are a little bit different on the chest and the change in the front and back skirt. But you still have your beam swords, and then you have your beam tonfas, which I'll go over in the so just a two-piece shell. It's already pre-bent, it's not articulated, and you only get one, but you could use one for either side, but you can only ever have one glowing foot at the time, which I still think was a bit of a mistake for them. They probably, I mean, I would have liked to have two glowing feet. Maybe could have been doing like the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits kicking up. I might have to mold this down the road and cast it as a solid piece, but alright, so you got a pre-bent. This is just your pose that's always going to be in kicking pose. And it goes right to the socket there. And there you go. Both tonfas are out, but again, expecting that. So basically, you get your high kick from it, but that's the only pose you can really get it in. You can do a little bit of angle movement there and there, and you only get one foot at a time. I'll go over proper posing in a second, but you'll be able to get what needs to be gotten out of it, but I would have liked 2 feet, but that's just my problem. Okay, so let's get to posing this up. So a little bit more. I had to take the beam tonfas off because I just kept knocking around everywhere, but the main things I just want to go over, I already showed you a little bit of just it up close, and I'll do the poses in just a second, but I just I did like the design on this. The few things I like the most are the feet covers here, representing or kind of turning a kind of making making a parody, but you know, changing things up a little bit to still be still referencing God Gundam, but changing it enough to make it its own thing. And I love the arm bits here that open up like the backpack, which was really cool. Yeah, beam sabers come on a nice rotation. If you're not familiar with the high grade, there's a nice little rotation mechanism in there, so you can have it down, grab it out. It's pretty cool. Backpack is very standard. Doesn't come out. It's not like the God Gundam when there's the actual little plane inside. It's just a standard 2-peg. So if you want to put that on something else, go for it. But other than that, not too much changed from the God. Yeah, nice change in face, and then we'll see the rest in poses. But I did enjoy this one. I liked it a lot. I think you'll be happy with the build. This is very solid, and it kind of makes a nice. If you can pose it right in the that standing, crotch forward pose, it's very imposing. And then the beam tonfas, just watch out for those. And the waist is not great for going forward, and you'll just pop it off like that. See? So that's the big thing. So yeah, that's the big thing is the waist will stay on good and secure, but you're not going to get much of a pose out of it. A little bit forward, a little bit back, but I think enough that you can still get that menacing type of pose. But it will pop like that. Barely any pressure, but it's not going to, see, it's not going to fall off on you. Legs are going to get loose quicker than that. So let's go ahead and get it posed up, and then we'll see what it looks like. Cool. Thank you. Here we have the Blazing Gundam just in a few poses, starting out with just standard, spread leg, waist thrust forward, arms bent slightly, kind of menacing and posing pose. So you can see it looks very cool. I think the color combination is very good. It's mostly white with that kind of bricky red. Looks very cool. Move on to a few different poses next, but just want to give you a good look at the profile and close-ups as it's coming around. Changing the back armor, back skirt, arms, but most of the parts are still the God Gundam. Feet are changed, front armor changed. A lot of minor changes, so you'll end up still with a lot of extra parts to make your own, but not enough to make the full God Gundam. But still a cool amount. The back legs still open up and pop out. I'll do that for the action poses. Let me get a little closer into that face. You can see the mask. It's got a nice smooth mouth behind it. It's very interesting. I think it's a really cool redesign of the front. I just wish it wasn't so half and half with the red right in the middle. Maybe make the whole head red at this point, but I understand why. Alright, let's get into some other poses and see what we can get out of this kit. thoughts after I've posed them, after I've done a few poses. Gotta watch out for these getting loose here and here, but that's about standard for this type of pegged piece, which I appreciate these more because it makes it easier to paint, to not have these locked in, which is something nice about anything post 2010s. They started doing that more instead of locking the frame inside the joint. When posing, you know, watch out for the waist. The tonfas are going to come off all the time, so I just keep those off on the side until you're ready to pose them, or keep them in the hands. But other than that, it held up pretty good. It's hard to get. Looks like the hands are getting a little loose too. It's a little hard to get these pieces to come out. It looks like they get a little locked, but that's supposed to come out a little bit better, so that these can sit like that. So one side comes out okay. There, see, that one comes out good, but I can't get the other one to do it too well, so just be careful about that. Head doesn't seem to be much of an issue. I think otherwise a solid kit, still holding strong, no wobbliness. The hips are probably going to get a little loose, but it's pretty good poses. I mean, you can see from the poses, it's not terrible. So I'm going to go over now the parts that we have extra left over, so you can see what you get. So this is everything that's functional in the kit, and the I didn't show you, but the tonfas double. Well, now they're staying in good. The tonfas double for the beam sabers too. Oh, and also, okay, so watch out for that too. I'm remembering this as I go. So the tonfa tips, unless you want to just glue them in, they're going to come off every time you want to pull these sabers out. So don't lose them. But the sabers do a dual purpose. They work for the beam sabers as well. They're tonfas. You don't get a separate set of beam sabers. They're only the beam tonfas. You get a long one and a short one. They're very close to being the same height by a little bit, but those work dual purpose for that too. All right, so that's everything you get in there. Is basically a set of hands, the glowing foot, the tonfas, and then now I'm going to go over all the extra stuff. I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison just so you can see the differences between the standard release God and the blazing. So right immediately, the skirt front armor, the middle part's all the same. Skirt armor here is a little different. I like the smaller one much better than the long one for this purposes. Side skirts stay the same. Back skirt different again, but only on the side plates. This is still the same. Just you don't get these. You get these shorter ones, which again I like better. The hands and arms, the shoulders should be the same. The arms up until the shoulders are the same. Same in here. Just different forearms. So if you're used to that, different backpack. But you do have the difference. I'll show you that in the extra pieces. Legs are all the same except for the different fronts here. And then the bottom of the feet are different. Tops still stay the same. So you get a little bit of different detail here with these feet than that one. But other than that, it's pretty much all the same. Chest is almost the same. Use the same internals, but front's changed a bit, and then like the backpack. So let's take a look at the extra parts now. All right, so here's the box of extra parts. I didn't put the black decals on in the spots because it really seemed like that's where liner could go, or a little bit of black acrylic, and you can just wipe off the excess. Didn't really seem necessary. And these little small camera function ones were way too tiny for me to even get my head around doing. It'd probably just be easier to use a little bit of Gundam markers and wipe off with alcohol. You could also use for the black, you can use Gundam markers right on the plastic, just clean off the excess with alcohol. So mostly you have all the extra parts from the God that you didn't use. You got a lot of backpack parts in there. You got some of the leftover for the hands, which we don't have the actual hand parts, but you got the claws, which is pretty cool if you want to use that for something else. You got them, and then again, all the extra backpack parts, the different front of the legs, the different bottom. You get a few. You got a full set of shoulders without the PC joint, but at this point you should have enough extra PC joints that you could do that again if you wanted to. Different foot tops, I think, and then you have the full. You can make the full, you can make the full head. The chin is in here somewhere, but you don't have the top part. But you could borrow the top part from the actual kit, and you could make just another god. You could keep the god head if you want. It doesn't have to be the new one. So really just a lot of little extra plate parts. I think you use some of these for kit bashing, grind the back down and glue them on. Change up the ankle armor a little bit. I mean, this is a pretty good amount of parts that are left over, but they're pretty unique. But some of them are pretty good. Extra head, not bad. I think of the Helios or the Strike Freedom's got the most extra parts, like almost full to the top. So when we get to that one, you're going to see a bunch of extra parts. But that's all we got for now. Head, backpack parts, little claws, some shins, shoulders, etc. All right. Well, again, thank you so much. Gonna move on to the next one. Don't know which that one's gonna be yet. Probably Helios, and then we'll see if we can get the rest of them out. And I'm still looking for that Barbatos, even at this point, time of recording. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.